Welcome back to the show, guys. If you are tuning in for the first time, my name is Marlena Banks, and I am your host of the Big Idea Food Podcast, where we teach you practical tools from a Christian perspective that help you build and grow the impactful business that God has called you to build. And y'all, I am recording this freshly after this episode with my dear friend, Tiffiney Poole, who is a health coach, an amazing, phenomenal health coach. And y'all, let me just tell you, this episode was amazing. She gave us so many gems, and so I cannot wait for you to dive in and listen to this episode. So real quick, I just want to read you her bio just so you know a little bit about her story, and then we're going to let you get right into the episode. So Tiffiney Poole is a certified health coach and occupational therapist with over 15 years of experience in health and wellness. Like many of us, she grew up in a family where obesity was the norm. Her passion for sharing health and wellness with women stemmed from her desire to change the health legacy of her family. She created healthy lifestyle habits that allow her to feel better at nearly 40 than she did in her 20s. Now she propels other women of faith from desire to action to regain body confidence and create their own healthy habits through faith, food, and fitness. She's the expert in helping women create and crush their health goals. Let me tell you, you want to listen to this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and let you get right into it. Of that. Welcome to the show, Tiffiney.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting, and I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you. As you know, y'all, Tiffiney and I actually met last year at Impact Weekend with Maya Elias, which was amazing. Oh my gosh. But she and I just became good friends there and just kind of continued our relationship here. And she's just awesome. And her last name is also a last name that my family shares. So we haven't yet made the connection, but we're pretty sure that we're related. So
we claiming it, right? We claiming it.
We claiming it. We cousins.
And I'm from the Midwest, so I reside in Atlanta, but I'm from the Midwest, where Marlena, I guess Indiana is considered, Midwest, right?
Exactly. And your family's from Detroit too, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Perfect. So that's what I'm talking about. My family's from Detroit too, so we just, we're cousins. But I could not wait to have you on the show. As I've shared many times, of course, I just love everything about what you're doing with your platform. You are my health coach in my head, and even your weekly health coaching quickie emails that you send out are just so good. They are like little mini mindset shifts every single week. And I also just love when I see my Christian brethren and sistren, incorporating faith and scripture into their business and process. It just makes my heart happy. And you just do this masterfully. So I just could not wait to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So before we get into the health and fitness tea that I know you're going to be serving, I wanted you to share a little bit more about yourself with my Big Idea Food Podcast listeners so that they can get to know a little bit more about who you are. I know we just read your bio, but just feel free to share a little bit more about your story and how you got into doing what you do.
Yes, absolutely. So in part of my bio, you mentioned the part where I, said that I grew up in a family where obesity was the norm. And that really, if I'm being honest, at that point, I wasn't thinking like long term. It really started with the fear, right? So every woman, after they had a child, after they turned 30, began to gain weight. And I'm like, I didn't want that to be my story. And it was vanity at that point. It had nothing to do, with health or whatever. I just didn't want to be overweight. I'm like, I'm going to be 40 and still looking fly.
Okay. Talk about a motivator.
But as I got older, and then, like I said, I've been working in health and wellness.
We're good.
Okay, I've been working in health and wellness for a long time now. And I started to, see how the obesity was, just a very, very small part of the problem. Like all of the health issues that surrounded that really became like my passion or whatever. And then I would say, like on the personal side, I'm a mom. I have a 16-year-old. My son is a junior, which I cannot believe is crazy that I'll be sending a kid off to college next year. And I'm divorced. So I've lived a lot of life. And that's kind of my story. I'm a sister. I have like 5 adorable nieces and nephews that I love. And yeah, I just want to be around a long time to enjoy them.
Yes, y'all. And doesn't she just look amazing? Like she had a whole entire 16-year-old and looks like she's 16 her daggone self. So if there's any like motivation for listening to what she's got to share with y'all tonight, like just look at her. Okay.
I actually made a joke about that during, because I volunteered for Impact Weekend what was, I guess 2 weekends ago now or something like that. I don't know what day it is, girl, but I made a joke about that because we had to share like a funny fact about ourselves. And I'm like, I enjoy it, but my kid, he is not having it. He giving me straight side eye. Like, I am so tired of people thinking you my sister.
Oh, yeah. You don't even think about it from the child standpoint.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. From the child. Well, from the young adult. I don't even know. He grown, but whatever.
He a kid. He's a kid.
That's right. All right. So I wanted to get started with how health and faith and business collide, because most of my listeners are Christian business owners. So could you share your perspective on the connection between our health and how we flow in our business purpose? Like, I know that you don't always talk specifically to entrepreneurs in your platform, but you have just said so many nuggets that I just truly believe your perspective is going to be super beneficial for my audience here as well.
Right, definitely. So you are correct. I don't speak specifically to entrepreneurs, but when I really, anytime we have a business, right, we think about like, what is our purpose? Like, what's the point that we're doing what we're doing? And for me, when I talk about health, it's not from a standpoint of weight loss. Like, if that's someone's goal, that's great. And the things that I share will definitely help with doing that. But when I really get to the root of why I'm so passionate about, speaking about health and teaching women how to create like healthy lifestyle habits, is because it then allows you to walk in your purpose. What I have found is that generally when we lack discipline in one area, it kind of flows over into another area. Or when we don't feel healthy in our own bodies, we don't show up the way that we're supposed to. So God may have given us an assignment, but because we're too sick or too tired, or we do have some body confidence issues, we don't show up the way that we want to show up. And so one of the scriptures that I love is actually Hebrews 12:11, and it says, all discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained with it afterwards, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. And so if you can begin to discipline yourself in some basic daily habits, and I don't mean anything outlandish, like I'm not even talking about going to the gym 4 days a week. I mean, getting up in the morning and, spending time with God, going to bed by a certain time every night so that you're not exhausted in the morning. Just these simple habits, if you begin to discipline yourself in those areas, I believe that it truly does open up. It allows God to flow, right? Basically, it allows God to flow. And then this is funny. I was actually reading, I just finished studying the book of, I think in the story of Daniel, actually. And if you guys remember in that story, this is like when the king, like he came and captured all the men, and their names were changed, and I'm gonna mess it up, but Meshach, what was it? Meshach,
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yes, exactly. And then I'm like, I can't say those names. But there's a part in there where the king is like going to feed them the choice foods, right? Which in my mind, I'm thinking like rich foods. Like this is like you go to Old Country Buffet after church and you eat in all the mashed potatoes and the fried chicken and the this and the that. These very rich foods, right? And this was going to be their diet. And Daniel steps up and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, I'm good. Like, just feed me some vegetables and give me some water. And the king's official is like, but I'm going to get in trouble because what I'm going to present you to the king and you're going to look a hot mess, right? And it tells us through that story that they actually were stronger. They looked healthier. And in the process of them disciplining themselves, God gave them vision. He gave them favor. And, so again, going back to the point of when we exercise that discipline in our health, it allows us to show up as the best version of ourselves in our businesses, for our clients, for the people that we're asking, like, let me lead you. If I can exercise discipline in my own life, how can I expect someone else to follow my lead?
Oh, girl, say that again. Oh, I love that you brought out that fact, that discipline. And we're talking about health here, right? But like, it all goes back to discipline. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because it's so true. And gosh, if we, like you said, discipline ourselves in those small areas, in small ways, it's going to continue to show up on a resounding level with us showing up for our purpose. And gosh, it's just so true. A friend of mine was talking about how God really had spoken to her about her own, she's visualizing herself speaking on stages and doing all these things, but then, she's dealing with weight and things like that. And so it's like, I know that to even be able to do the things that God has shown me to do, I need to be able to physically do them, that is huge. And so, gosh, just to make that connection of like, I know, God, you have me doing something. I know you have a great call on my life, and just bringing it to, like, if you need a motivation factor, like, can I physically handle the work of this call? And if not, I got to make some changes.
Exactly.
Yep.
You hear it time and time again. People are being hospitalized for exhaustion, or, they had something planned, but then, they fell ill. And that's not to say that those things can't happen when you're doing all the right things, but I just live by the mindset now, like, I'm not leaving any room for me to say, oh, I wish I would have done,
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And I just have to I thank you also for bringing up Daniel. Like, one of my dreams is that everything that I'm doing with Big Idea Food would help cultivate the ground inside of us, inside of everyone who follows this brand, to be that 10 times better, just like Daniel and his companions were. They were 10 times better than all of their companions, just eating right made them 10 times better. You know what I mean? Like, something that simple. So that is a huge desire of mine. I definitely see the connection between health and our purpose being like way bigger than I think I even realized for myself, and this challenges me to continue on my own personal health journey as well. So thank you, girl. Thank you. I'm gonna be listening to this episode again and again. Now, and I wanted you to touch on maybe a couple, because we're all entrepreneurs here, or dreamers or something like that. And there are, let's be honest, limiting beliefs that we deal with around our health, around fitness, so I wanted to hear, what are some limiting beliefs that you hear, maybe your clients, or even if there are other entrepreneurs, what are they saying about their health and their wellness, and in terms of a limiting belief? And then what are some mindset hacks that you would recommend for eliminating them? And, definitely feel free to share any more scriptural nuggets or teach here. Right. You are so bomb at this. So
yeah. Right. Thank you. So as entrepreneurs, right, we are typically go-getters. That's what drives us. That's why we want to have our own thing. And so a lot of times what I find when I'm talking to a fellow entrepreneur is we have this all or nothing mindset, right? We have in our minds the way something is supposed to go, what the end result is going to be, and it has to flow, just so. If not, then it's not right. We can't do it. We have to wait to start. And I would say that that's one of the biggest ones. And what I would say is, and this is like floating all around social media, but focus on progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
So that may mean, okay, you're supposed to be drinking a gallon of water. Okay, just add an extra glass a day, or you said you wanted to work out 4 days a week, but you are trying to go from not working out at all to working out 4 days a week. Probably not going to happen. So just say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 1 time a week. And once you make that a habit, then you can add on some extra time. So definitely getting rid of that all or nothing mentality. The other one is, I don't have enough time. And
that's mine, y'all.
Yes. And we're all guilty of that one. I'm guilty of that one myself. I think I did like a Instagram story or something about that, because I had to check myself. So a little bit of backstory. I still have a 9 to 5. Like I said, I'm an occupational therapist. I see people in their homes. But when my son started 5th grade, I stopped working full time. And this past summer is now, he's 16. He is not dependent upon me for most things. I went back to work full time. And I'm still trying to build this business. And your girl, I was thrown for a loop. So I got out of the routine of my meal planning. I got out of the loop of going to the gym. And I started to notice, some of the effects. And I'm like, oh, I don't have enough time. And my regular work day is not most people's regular work day. Like a full-time day for me is like 6 hours. I'm spoiled. But even in that, because I'm pretty rigid with my routine, I'm like, I don't have time to go to the gym, and then I go home and I gotta cook and this and that. But then I was like, I do have time to do the things that are important to me, because I have no problem coming home and doing something else that's important. And so I had to take a look at my schedule. And now I can go in the evenings. But at that point that I realized that, I started going in the morning and just showering at the gym and then going ahead. And so to that point, I would say, if you know that your health is important, and I'm telling you that your health is important, that's not a question, then you have to create the time. And so a lot of times what I'll have my clients do is like a week in review, And so really looking at writing down every single thing that you're doing, because 9 times out of 10, you're spending way too much time scrolling on social media. You're spending, like, now I have, and this is going to sound real rigid, but I have office hours for my friends. They know I can talk to you between this time and this time, unless it's an emergency. And so if they call me outside of that time, I straight up hit decline. I text, is everything okay? Everybody alive? You good? Is this an emergency? If not, okay, if I don't call you back tonight, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
And hold on, we just got to put a pause there, y'all. Necessary, okay? And I bet your friends be trying to get some health tips too. So you got to put them, you got to set up a boundary here, okay?
Okay. I'm gonna save the boundaries part.
I know that's a whole nother episode, right?
Yes, exactly. There is a great book though. Who is it by? Henry. It's by Henry something. I'm gonna figure it out for you guys. But that book on boundaries is phenomenal, and I love it because it's from a Christian perspective, right? So I won't dive too much into it. But if you're struggling with boundaries, if that's why you don't have time to take care of yourself, you need to get that book. It is phenomenal.
Yes, I will link to that in the show notes when Tiffany remembers.
Yes, right. And then another thing that I, really hear a lot of people say is, I just need more motivation, right? I don't have the motivation. And we talked about that a minute ago. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It is, somebody put the thing in the chat by Henry Cloud. Thank you so much, whoever posted.
Amazing.
But Yeah, it is not about motivation. Now, motivation is what will get you started, right? We do have to be motivated to get started, but at some point you have to make the decision. We're all adults. We know what is necessary for us to, go from the level we're at to the next level. You have to make the decision that you're going to do it regardless of whether you're motivated or not. I think I posted something not too long ago on Instagram. Like, I hate the rain. So, like today, like I went to the gym yesterday, but had it been raining today, it would have sucked for me not to just be able to come home. I've been driving in the rain all day, driving around to see patients. And last week it was the same scenario. And even though it was cold and it was rainy, I had made the commitment to myself that I was going to be disciplined to go to the gym. Because once I come home, I'm not going to do it, you know. And so that part has to take precedence over your feelings. Our feelings are not, um, they're not reliable. You know, the
Period.
Bible even says that the heart is like the most deceitful thing, right? So you can't base your decisions, you can't make like your greatest life decisions based on how you feel. You know,
Ooh, can you
you
just
just
say
can't.
that again? Can you just
Yes,
repeat that, please?
it's yes. The heart is unreliable. So if you are making decisions based on how you feel, you, it, I'm gonna go. I'm pretty raw. Okay. So I'm just gonna say it. You're going to be highly unlikely to achieve the things that you want to achieve if
Mm,
you're making your decisions based on feelings.
period.
Period. Right. Yes.
Period.
Period.
Oh,
Yeah.
girl, I'm telling you, the scriptures that you be dropping, like we are like sistering in this area. Like the heart is deceitful. Like, why would you let your feelings dictate? Oh, I just I just need a Selah moment right here. Like that's
Yeah.
so good. Like please, if you're taking notes, write that down. Especially if motivation, not having the motivation has been your limiting belief. And I can also attest to the fact that discipline like that first scripture you mentioned in Hebrews, like it's not comfortable at first, but when
Mhm.
you do it, there is so much I like I have just implemented discipline in creating a morning routine. And now that I've
Mhm.
done it and reaped the benefits of it, I'm like, my morning routine is non-negotiable now. So even when I don't feel, it's like I got to do it. Like it's part of me now and it does so much for me. So like there's just so like when you do the when you it there's that hurdle, right, to get over it and just commit. But
Mhm.
once you commit and you start reaping those benefits, that's going to start to fuel you and motivate you. And yes, there's still going to be days when it's raining and you don't feel like it,
Right.
but that's when you started to build that habit, build that muscle, it'll even start to kick in just like it kicked in for you. Like, no, you know what? I
Mhm.
have to go to the gym. I have to do this. So thank you. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about limiting beliefs all day long, but I want to hear your fourth one because I know you have like four of them prepared.
Yes, and actually, so I had another one, but you just touched on something which made me think of something else. And you said that, you have to get over that hurdle, right? So another limiting belief or how it actually like shows up is we stop too soon,
Mm.
right? You stop too soon. You say you're gonna do something. The first week it may be a little bit hard. The second week you like, man, I said I was gonna do XYZ 3 times, but I only did it twice. This must not, it's not for me. Stop too soon. You know, Speaking from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I started to try to build this business. I guess this is like going into year 3 now. First year, I got engaged. My son started ninth grade. I got married. The following year, early in the year, I got divorced. I couldn't do anything for like, I don't know. I had to, of course, take
Check
some
out.
time away, right? Last year, right. Last year, gained some momentum, but as in business, we have to learn, right? You start doing something, you see what's working, you see what's not working. And this year started off, and I'm like, I finally feel like I'm in a groove. And I just think about all the people that would be left unimpacted by the gift I know God has put inside of me if I stop too soon. you know? And
Mm.
so it's the same thing with your health. You know, whatever that goal is, if you stop too soon to even, like, most people don't even do it enough to decide what's working and what's not working. Like, you don't even know what's working and what's not working because you haven't done it consistently enough to even make that that assessment, right?
Yes.
So,
And that is such a good point. Can you talk to us about, like, for anyone who's listening right now who may be considering giving up, like, I know there is a difference between, like, I'm giving this up because I know that it's not actually serving me in the way I thought. Like, there's going to be something else I try, sure. But then there's also the giving up where you're just throwing in the towel, you're quitting, and you're quitting out of whatever the situation is that isn't really that you really need to be doing this, but you're quitting because whatever, you're feeling you're lazy, or you just don't think you can do it, or whatever it is. So I don't know if you have any thoughts. I know this is like a little off script, but like, what would you tell someone who might be dealing with that desire to give up, and they're trying to decide, am I giving up because of my own just laziness, lack of discipline, or am I giving up because this is a well-informed decision for me?
right. I would say, so one of the things, like, I feel like in that regard, it's no different than, say, like when God tells us to do something, right? And you trying to decide, like, okay, if God told me to do it, why am I still meeting some opposition, right?
Mm,
Again, with my business, I've met some opposition, but there's still, like, this sense of peace, right? Like, you still know that you're on the right track. And so with a particular health goal, same thing. Is it like, okay, this is is what I'm trying to do detrimental to me, right? Am I finding that is detrimental? If not, then I would say it's probably more of a discipline issue, versus it not working for you. And honestly, I typically will tell people to practice something at least 6 weeks
mm,
before deciding that it's not working, because it's going to take that long to even get into a regular routine with it. Like I said, mentioned earlier, the first couple weeks, you're going to do it a little bit, and then you're going to forget because you're not used to doing it. So if you haven't practiced it for 6 weeks, and by that 6 week doing whatever it is consistently, then you really don't have enough information to decide that it's not working for you. And then even with that, what I tell people is, like, whatever the goal was, number one, we can't even get fully into this, but you have to make sure that the goal was even a good goal, like the goal
mm.
that you set. It's more than just saying, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to eat better, or whatever. Like, what does that mean? That's so vague. And so making sure that the goal is even a well thought out goal. Like, okay, what is it exactly that you want to do? What are the action steps to get to it? Because then if you start with the good goal, then it can be, okay, maybe the goal is good, but you just need some accountability. Or maybe, you threw, your fishing line out just a little too far. You got to reel it in a little bit. You started from zero and you trying to, deep sea fish or whatever, like, let's take it back to the pond or whatever. And so when you start off with a succinct goal, then you can just start tweaking little parts of it, right? Before you decide if something's gonna work or not work. And then about the giving up part, like I said earlier, just like, what's at stake?
Mm.
Like, what's at stake? And that's why I challenge people to go beyond, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to fit into my jeans that I bought last year or whatever, because those are great things, right? Like I said, we Christian, but we want to look good.
Right.
And but your why has to be bigger than losing 10 pounds. Because what
Mm.
happens when you lose the 10 pounds? If this hasn't changed and this hasn't changed, then it's not going to matter. Okay.
Yes.
And so, like you read in my bio, my big why was I wanted to change the health legacy of my family. And long story short, like it's nothing for my 16-year-old to go grab a pear or an apple or some grapes for a snack. Now he still has snacks. I'm not the, the warden of the house. I still buy him some snacks, but they're monitored. And and so it trickled down to him, right? Because those are the habits that I've modeled for him. But then even it's nothing for me to call my grandmother who's almost 80 and she's in the car with her friend on the way to the gym. My
Wow.
grandma's almost 80, y'all. And so what is at stake when you give up? What example are you setting for your kids? What example are you setting for, the rest of your family? What example are you setting for your clients, who are coming to meet with you for whatever services it is that you provide? One of the greatest ways that we can show who Christ is by showing, right? By doing.
Yes,
And so
demonstrate.
yeah, and so when I'm not gonna get on
I
the
know it's a
soapbox.
lot. Literally, I know. Like
Yeah.
it's just so much, y'all. She just dropped so many gems. I'm just like, I want to unpack all of them. Like they're like you earlier on, you said the word practice, and I just really appreciate you using that word. When we are approaching a goal, it requires the mindset of this is practice. Any of y'all who did sports back in the day in high school, college, like you went to practice, right? It's not something that you're just perfect at day one. It's a practice. It's a thing that you're doing. So I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that 6 week, marker that is like, okay, I need to just commit to doing this for 6 weeks before I decide whether I'm going to give up or not. That is just so, so helpful. Thank you for that. And, and then what's at stake? Like, I just want to just capture that moment and just, I'm going to have to share that in the video, like promoting this later. Cause like that, what's at stake? That's huge. And the fact that you've been able to have such a powerful impact on your family is just so admirable. And I know that has to just bring you all of the feels when you hear that, when you see that. That's just phenomenal. So I just feel like there's so many things.
Right.
We talked about goal setting and you talked about goal setting and how to actually build out a realistic goal. And I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of times we do just jump into this without clarity around like, what is my life goal that's attached to this fitness goal? And then what is the actual like quantifiable goal that I'm trying to reach? So thank you for that. And I know that when we are setting a goal, like it can be very difficult for us, we're human, to actually achieve a goal without accountability, like period. We know that it's necessary for achieving any goal, including our health goals. So could you share some tips on finding the right accountability partner for us as it relates to our health goals?
Yes, absolutely. So I have like 4, I call them like my golden rules, right, to accountability. And the first one is, can you match my hustle? Right?
Ooh.
So, yes, you more likely than not, like, so if we take business, for example, right? I can have you as an accountability partner. You match my hustle. I know that you're a go-getter. I know that, you're not going to sit too long on an idea before just saying, you know what, let's just try it. Let's put it out there or whatever. Same thing with your health goals. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that person has to be in tip-top shape or anything like that. When I say, can you match my hustle, your friends who you have to drag along, and your friends who are going to actually be the ones picking up the phone and calling you and making sure, we all have a blend of both probably. And so you just need to be, honest about that. And for people, who may be, I guess, at the upper level in their friendships, Number one, I would say expand your circle, because you never want to be at the upper level, right? Okay.
And you
But
mean by that, you
also,
mean like big fish in a small pond kind of a thing, right? You're the
exactly.
only one that's really contributing to the development of your friend circle. Like, we need
Yeah.
some additional friends.
Exactly.
That's
Just
it.
add to the circle. Doesn't mean you have to get rid of the other friends,
Yeah.
but you know at that point that's when you need to start expanding your circle. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the only way that you are able to grow. Okay. And so if you are struggling in that area, then that's when I would recommend like looking at support groups or joining the Facebook group, that sort of thing, or whatever. So that's the first one. You want to make sure that they match your hustle. The second one is show me your fruit. So I cannot ask somebody to hold me accountable when they are not doing anything. Period. They don't have good fruit. And that may sound mean or whatever the case may be, but it's not. Because again, if they're not doing anything that is meaningful in their own lives, then they're not going to hold you accountable to doing anything meaningful in yours. And health is a touchy subject for a lot of people, right? And so if they don't have some fruit, and again, this doesn't have to be that they've lost 10 pounds or they're going to the gym 7 days a week or whatever. This may be something as simple as, like, I have a friend who, she has 3 sons, and I watched her 3 boys. This was like forever ago, so they were much younger at that time. And when I handed them back, I was like, girl, I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you do it. But she does it, in my eyes, effortlessly. That's showing me your fruit. Like, you are able to still do the things that God has purposed you to do while raising these 3 amazing boys, and you not walking around looking like, frazzled or whatever. That's showing me your fruit. The third one is you have to be able to trust that person, right? Again, health is a sensitive subject. So if you don't trust that person to call you out, if you don't trust that person for, where you're at a point where you can be vulnerable with them, then they're not going to be good at being your accountability partner. If your accountability partner calls you up and because you don't trust them, you lie like, yeah, I did it, they can't hold you accountable, right? So you have to have that trust. And then the other thing is they should have gone on a similar journey, right? So again, not the exact same journey, but if you're talking to your friend about wanting to eat healthier, but she's steadily trying to get you to stop at the McDonald's drive-through, that person can't hold you accountable. Their mind is not there yet, and that's okay. That can still be your friend, just can't be your accountability partner. So
Good.
those are my 4.
Yes.
Match your hustle, show me your fruit. They should have gone on the same or similar journey, and you should be able to trust them.
So good. So good. And I think even on top of that, it's like you also can't always, when you have a significant other, like they can't always be your accountability partner. Like a lot of times you'll default to that person, and it's like, no, you run it through. You might have 1 out of the 4 with them, 2 out of the 4. But I love that you gave us 4 kind of indicators, because I think that those are necessary for an accountability partner. So think about that. Like, hey, if you're not checking off all 4 of these boxes, it's probably not going to work as well.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you brought up spouse or significant other too, because in all honesty, that I typically don't like my clients to have their significant other as an accountability partner. And so I do differ between, or I make a distinction between support and accountability. So your significant other, they can be a support, right? They can cheer you on and babe, that's a good job, or I'm going to the gym, you want to go with me? I'm going to the store, you need me to pick up some more, whatever it is you're trying to eat more of that's healthy or whatever. But in terms of being an accountability partner, unless you all's relationship is just very, very tight, because you don't want your significant other calling you out on health stuff. Again, because it's so sensitive, especially if your health goals are related to weight loss. That area can get very, very sticky. And I don't suggest it unless you want issues elsewhere in your relationship. You don't want your boyfriend saying, I thought you said you weren't going to eat that donut. You're going to be like, mind your business.
Sir.
Right.
Could you please mind your business?
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So this has just been so good. So I wanna transition into the lightning round, but real quick before we do that, I just want to touch on this last thing, and then transition into that. And that's, I just want to kind of end this with like advice. And this is really selfishly for me, I'm gonna be honest. I need help because I want to get my mind right. I know that I should be working out, but I haven't been consistently at all. And I have I don't have time limiting belief, and I even have the limiting belief that I don't have the time to deal with my limiting belief about not having time. Okay, so like I need to get it together. I know I do. Okay, so what advice would you give someone like me, who also might be listening and who knows better, to start building discipline around their health? Like, what would you recommend being that first step or baby step toward getting started and just like building momentum?
Right. So the first thing I would say is start small, and that tends to be the biggest thing that I notice in general when talking, to anybody about their health, but particularly women, is we overwhelm ourselves because we can't think about the small thing. We're thinking about like the big picture, right? And the big picture is great, but you need to start small. And so generally I suggest not setting more than 3 goals out the gate. Like if you are, on a mission to transform your health, like this major overhaul, start with 3 goals. And generally, if I'm working with a client, I'll have them set a goal that's faith related. So, or and not necessarily just faith, but like when I say faith, I combine that with like emotional health, self-care, all of that. So setting a goal in that area, setting a goal in fitness, and setting a goal when it comes to food. And when I say setting a goal, I mean a tiny goal. Like I'm going to get up 30 minutes early, Monday through Friday, to spend 30 minutes with God. Tiny goal. Not I'm going to finish the Bible in 6 months. Start small.
Yes, let's be real.
Yes. And the same would go with a food goal. If you don't eat vegetables, set a small goal. I'm gonna eat a vegetable 1 meal each day for the next 7 days or whatever. So that would be my first suggestion, is to start small. The second one is, like we just talked about, get an accountability partner. Tell somebody what it is that you're planning to do. And then the other part of that people tend to forget when it comes to an accountability partner is let them know how you want to be held accountable. Like, what does that look like? Right? Again, don't be vague about it. So say, I need you to call me every day at 8 p.m. and ask me what I ate. If one of your goals is a food goal. That's what you need your accountability partner to do. And if I say that I ate something that I told you that I wasn't going to eat, ask me why. Because a lot of times we just need to flesh things out, right? Were you stressed? Were you emotional? Were, you in your cycle and, had a craving? Like, what was it? Because again, you can't figure out what it is that you need to do differently if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. Those are, I would say, the 2 places that I would start. Start small and get accountability for sure.
That is it.
And I will add this because you mentioned like the working out part, right? So even with the working out, a lot of people think that means I have to work out every day. or I have to work out for at least 30 minutes. Even if you broke it up and did 10 minutes when you first got up in the morning, 10 minutes midday, 10 minutes while dinner is cooking, your body does not know the difference between 30 minutes of continuous activity or 10 minutes of activity 3 times a day. And if that's what you need to do to start getting yourself in the mindset of moving, then so be it. The other thing is people thinking like exercise has to be going to the gym or getting on the treadmill or whatever. If you like to dance, let it be dancing. If you have, kids or nieces and nephews, take them skating and put some skates on yourself. Don't hurt yourself, but get some skates on and go skating. Like my biggest thing when it comes to like physical activity, exercise, is getting people to think outside the box. I like lifting weights, but everybody does not like to do that. And so whatever it is that you like to do, then do that. Start there first. Take the path of least resistance. If you like taking your dog for a walk, take your dog for a walk every day and let that be your exercise.
Oh, so good. I am going to put those things into practice. Actually, I think I'm going to take the note about the 30 minutes a day because I have a morning routine already. I can fit 10 minutes of moving my body into my morning routine. Mm-hmm. So y'all, this is like my personal, consultation with Tiffiney, but but I think I'm going to do that. So I hope you guys are just listening to this, and hopefully you guys have gotten a ton of inspiration for your personal health goals and journey, because this has just been amazing. And so now I just really want to shift into our lightning round. It's my top 5. These are what I'm calling like my top 5 things that help my listeners to slay their mindset goals this year. So all you need to do is just answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. So number 1, what is your favorite daily practice for cultivating a successful mindset?
Hands down, my devotion time. When I don't do it, it usually does not go well for me.
Yes, same, girl. What is your favorite affirmation or mantra or scripture that always helps you get your mind right?
Lately, what I have been telling myself, probably since the start of the year, is I already possess everything I need to succeed.
Woo! Yes. That reminds me of Pastor Michael Todd, Transformation Church. They've been saying, all I have is all I need. Like, that is just so good. That is the truth. That is a universal truth, y'all. Woo! I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
All right.
Stop listening.
Okay, listen. What would you say is the best resource you consumed for mindset development in the past year? It could be a book, a podcast, a conference, whatever. Just name one resource.
Hands down, Impact Weekend. Like,
no doubt.
After being there again this year, like, my goodness. Yes, hands down.
Good. Ooh, and you guys, I will definitely link to these resources in the show notes. I know that Maya just opened up Impact Weekend 2021. So definitely will be in the notes. All right. What entrepreneur would you want to trade mindsets with for a day?
Maya.
I think she's one of mine too. She's like
the only other one that comes to mind though, since I talked about Impact Weekend, would be Abu.
Oh,
like he is like relentless, and not in a bad way though. You know what I'm saying? But just kind of like
he's a
like,
machine.
Yeah, why wouldn't I be able to make money and do like it's I'm getting there with my confidence level in my business.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all, she's actually talking about Abu Fofana. He is the founder of Power Your Launch. It teaches you how to run like Facebook ads. I took that program as well. Phenomenal. So I will definitely link to that in the show notes too. I actually have an affiliate link for that. So anyway, so last thing, if you could recommend one thing for someone to do to significantly shift their mindset in the next 30 days, what would it be?
The first one that you've stumped me on. One thing. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Yes, that is
Just
good.
start.
Ooh, there you have it, y'all. So, Tiffany, this was amazing. I knew it would be. I'm not surprised. You really gave us so much to work with. So, thank you just for sharing your awesomeness with us. It was everything. So, I want to definitely find out from you what coaching or resources do you offer to help us with our health goals? And then also just let us know where we can find you, book you, and keep in touch with you.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. This has been amazing. And this is my first podcast, you guys. So I have to say that this is like my first time being a guest, and who better else to have as a first but Marlena. So this has been exciting. But yes, everyone can find me on all social media. I don't do Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, Health Coach Tiffiney. I keep it simple. Tiffiney is spelled different though, so make sure you look at the little how it's spelled in my little box where my picture is at. Um, and my website is healthcoachtiffany.com. I actually just opened a Facebook group today. It's called the Body Confident Community. So if you go to facebook.com/Body Confident Community, that's going to be just an open group, kind of taking things, because I have an email community, but I want people to be able to interact with one another, not just me. So that was the purpose of that. And similar to my email, Marlena mentioned that I do a health coaching quickie every Saturday, and this community will just be an extension of that. So giving you small things, place for you to share your wins, and just be in community with other women who are also looking to create healthy lifestyle habits through faith, food, and fitness. And then last but not least, I just got word yesterday that my coaching program has been built out. So definitely be on the lookout for that in the spring. I'm not launching it yet because I want to make sure the back end and everything is done, but it is built out. And I really listened to my audience. So everybody told me that they wanted something that they could go through on their own, but then also have coaching from me and a community from me. And so that's what I'm doing. So if you all want more information on that, you can email support@healthcoachtiffany.com and just, like let me know that you want to be added to the wait list to get the info when that program launches in the spring.
Ooh, yes. I'm gonna have to get on that list. I really am. And
Yes.
join the community. But there you have it. Those are all the ways to get in touch with Tiffany. Use those resources, guys. And again, thank you so much, Tiffany, for being on the show.
Yes, thank you.
There you have it, y'all. See you next week.